couple summers ago, I had 3 of my sons at a birthday party. I had a then 8-year-old African-American son, a then 8-year-old Caucasian son, and a then 7-year-old African-American son. And I was watching from a distance as they were beginning to get rowdy with 3 or 4 other boys on the diving board. And I watched that lifeguard go over to those 6 boys and pull the 2 African-American boys out of that mix and walk right past me looking for a dad that didn't look like me. And I told him I was the dad he was looking for, and he proceeded to talk about how those boys were being unruly. And I told him, and then he was going to make them sit out. And I said, nope, you're either going to sit out 6 boys or you're going to sit out no boys, but you're not just going to pull the African-American boys out of that mix and punish them. We live in a racialized society. We live in a racialized city. That simply means we live in a culture, we live in a city where race matters.
About 2 years ago on Twitter, I made the comment that in order for us collectively to move forward in conversations about race, that I, as an African-American man and leader, had to create space for my white brothers and sisters to say seemingly racist things. But of course, things on Twitter get lost in translation, and what people took that as, it was you are an Uncle Tom, you are not black, of course your wife is white. I got called the house N-word, I got called that I was shucking and jiving for white people, that I was cooning, so on and so forth. And all I was trying to do was say, in order for us to have difficult conversations, we've got to create space for one another to mess up and then offer the grace to our brothers and sisters to guide them up and train them up in the ways that they should go. Beginning this spring, JB and I will be team teaching a race equipping class for our church. And we've entitled this class, Our Story Together, to really bring to the table all of our stories about race, your story and my story, your neighbor's story, and bringing those into concert with what God has to say in His Word concerning race, ethnicity, and the gospel. This is going to be a 6 to 7 week course where we're going to go deep, and we're going to dive very deep to treat the topic as holistically as we possibly can, knowing that this is only going to be a survey, but 6 to 7 weeks of us diving in together and asking God, what does it mean to understand race how you do, to have a perspective how you do. This is but one course in a series of 3 courses that are going to compile a course load, if you will, where we're going to be looking at how do we interact and understand race historically, how do we understand cultural implications, and how can we, as men and women of God, be mobilized to work on behalf of those most vulnerable in our society. The goal of this course is this: to develop anti-racist Christians, armed with taking the gospel to all men, especially liberating those who are oppressed and who are marginalized. We really hope that you take a chance and consider becoming a part of this class, because it will transform you, it will transform our church, and prayerfully it will transform our community.
For 14 years as a church, we've tried to contribute and add to a discussion around the gospel and race, and to show a theology and philosophically and interpersonally and relationally how to work out issues of the gospel and race. That's why I couldn't be more excited for the equipping class that's coming up in the new year that deals exactly with that, with the gospel and race. And as I've seen this class start to come together, it is the most intense effort, the best amount of material we've possibly created. There's going to be an intentionality to the space that we create so that it's a safe place for people to come and explore and learn and hopefully equip themselves when it comes to the issues of the gospel and race. We have to have this. Our church has to be this for our city, a place where we can have those tough conversations, especially for our majority culture brother and sisters, for them to be able to be equipped to know how to process and think biblically and practically when it comes to issues of the gospel and race.